If you're looking for a capable, domestically made modern pickup truck with a traditional powertrain, chances are you've seriously considered the Chevy Silverado. With its meaty V8, contemporary interior, solid comfort levels, and good towing and payload ratings, this truck remains amongst the last true American pickup trucks. However, rather unfortunately, you might find yourself very much disappointed by it, as despite its many virtues, the Silverado is also full of issues that make it lag behind the Ram 1500 and the F-150. Today, we'll be looking at the 5 problems with the Chevrolet Silverado you must know, as they might be a deal breaker for you. Number 5. Mediocre entry-level powertrain. Despite being known for being the last full-size pickup truck that still relies on its V8 engine, the base model Chevrolet Silverado is the complete antithesis to that. You see, the entry-level model comes with a 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Yes, the same turbocharged 4 that the Colorado comes with. It takes very little thought to realize that this is a very bad idea for a vehicle of this size, especially since no other pickup truck in this segment offers a 4-cylinder engine. Come to think of it, we don't know that a 4-cylinder engine was ever offered in a full-size pickup truck. Do you? Anyhow, the engine's performance might seem good on paper. However, this engine is simply too overstrained to be considered a viable powertrain. First, it pushes out 310 horsepower, which is way too much from a single turbo inline 4. Plus, the turbo itself makes 27 psi of boost, which means that all that power and torque won't be available to you at lower end RPMs, but only after you start revving the engine into oblivion. Now, this engine is ideal for the Colorado, as it is a far smaller and far lighter vehicle. However, in a vehicle that weighs at least 4,500 pounds, this engine is simply a big no-no. Not to mention that the inline 4 layout itself is very problematic for a workhorse truck. First, inline 4 engines tend to be rougher and far less potent than V6s, while also being less balanced and generally producing more engine vibrations, which is what the Silverado's entire competition offers as the base engine option. Furthermore, the engine sounds, well, pathetic to say the least, and this is a genuine problem considering the fact that you'll need to keep it screaming to extract its power. As a result, this engine is going to meet St. Peter much faster than any of its competition will. Well, apart from the Toyota Tundra, as those units tend to grenade themselves every Tuesday. Number 4. Ride quality isn't that good. One would think that buying a nearly 20-foot long pickup truck would garner with it a lofty ride, but well, you'd be wrong. Gosh, has the Ram 1500 made us soft? The Chevrolet Silverado utilizes a leaf spring layout at the back, which is one of the key reasons why it isn't exactly as fantastic as its Stellantis competitor. Now sure, because of this, the Ram 1500 has a noticeably lower towing capacity. However, we'd always trade in a bit of pulling prowess for a more comfortable ride. That said, the Silverado isn't exactly harsh. It's smooth over bumps, better than, say, the F-150, but once you get up to speed, you can expect the ride to become quite a bit bouncier and more, gelatinous compared to both the F-150 and the Ram 1500. But despite it all, the Silverado isn't an uncomfortable truck. Or rather, it isn't unbearable. It's just a regular pickup truck in this regard, which is a shame because Chevy could have made it so much more and allowed it to stand out from the competition. This is especially true since you take into consideration the next problem with the Silverado. Number 3. Off-road performance is lacking. Now here's something we did not expect. The Silverado is arguably the worst pickup truck in terms of off-roading amongst its American-made rivals. First, most trim levels tend to be more road-oriented than off-road oriented compared to competitors. The F-150, for example, offers both the Raptor and the Raptor R, both of which are literal monsters off the pavement, with their 13.1-inch ground clearance and 37-inch off-road tires, as well as tailor-made shocks and wheels. The Ram RHO is also pretty good in this regard. It has almost 12 inches of ground clearance and massive 35-inch tires. However, its conventional coil and spring suspension allow it to be almost as good as the F-150 Raptor and Raptor R. Plus, its 3.0-liter Hurricane 6 engine, which pushes out 540 HP, is admirably potent. The Ram 1500 TRX was an even greater vehicle and was by far the best off-road pickup truck in its segment, but it's unfortunately gone now. Now don't get us wrong here, the Silverado isn't bad. It's a decent off-roader in general, as it beats out both the Nissan Titan and the Toyota Tacoma. But when paired with the Ram 1500 and the F-150, it does pale a bit. The ZR2 is a comparable vehicle to the Ram 1500 RHO and the F-150 Raptor, with 11.2 inches of ground clearance and 33-inch all-terrain tires. However, it isn't as good as the other two. In addition, it is too expensive for a vehicle that does not offer an extraordinary power plant, as it comes with the same V8 engine as the other trims do. Number 2. The interior isn't the best. Before it was redesigned, the Silverado's interior was undoubtedly the worst one in the class. Honestly, just look at the pre-facelift cabin. It looks horrible. Everything about it is just so incredibly boring and dated. The technology used was borderline unusable, and you couldn't even compare it to rivals. In addition to that, the layout is unacceptable, as everything seems so haphazardly fitted and thought out that it's just a drag trying to use it. Too many buttons that are not needed are all around the cabin, while too many crucial controls are not present and not easily accessible. Plus, the interior both felt and looked extremely cheap. Honestly, the interior is so bad that we can't believe Chevy thought people would prefer this to the F-150, and especially the Ram 1500. Thankfully, after the redesign, the design of the interior was vastly improved. For starters, a bunch of new tech was introduced, which refreshed the cabin completely. In addition to that, the layout was redesigned entirely, and everything now feels very ergonomical, logical, and well, good looking, to the point that we prefer it compared to its rivals, at least in terms of aesthetics. However, in terms of quality, Chevy is still a long way from its American rivals, especially the Ram 1500. Sure, it's close to the F-150, especially at high trim levels. However, that isn't that impressive, as the F-150's cabin quality wasn't Ford's priority number one. But it has no chance against the Ram 1500, especially after it was redesigned. Materials, fit, and finish, everything seems at least a class above the Silverado, and even its more luxurious sibling, the GMC Sierra. Plus, the lower end trims, for some weird reason, retain the same old plasticky interior that was used in the pre-facelift. Why, Chevy? Just why? You aren't going to save $1 billion by giving us a bit nicer looking interior for the cheaper models, would you? The Ram 1500 remains the undisputed king in this segment, especially after its redesign earlier this year, which is a real shame, as Chevy would have had it in the bag if it were just a bit better built. Number 1. The V8 simply isn't good enough. There, we've said it, and we're honestly sorry that we had to. We adore a good old V8. However, truth be told, at this point, it just doesn't make sense anymore, especially not when compared to the new Hurricane 6 engine or the F-150's EcoBoost engine. Now, we know what you're thinking. How can it be worse? It can tow more than the Ram 1500 can with the Hurricane 6. Well, yes it can, but that's mostly because of its suspension setup, and not because of the engine. Even the most powerful 6.2-liter V8 barely scrapes the weakest Hurricane 6 in terms of power, as both produce around 420 HP, and the Hurricane 6 produces around 10 pound-feet more. In addition to that, Ram 1500 comes with the 540 HP variant, which pushes out 520 pound-feet of torque, making it vastly more potent than the old lump underneath the Silverado's hood. And you know what also comes with reduced displacement? That's right, increased fuel economy and reduced emissions. The Silverado has 4 mpg less on average compared to the Hurricane 6 equipped Ram 1500, which is a drastic difference since the engine is more potent. When compared to the Ford F-150's 3.5 EcoBoost, the Silverado fares just as bad. The F-150, when equipped with the range-topping twin-turbo EcoBoost 3.5-liter V6, outshines it in terms of towing capacity, performance, and fuel economy. Sure, the V8 will probably end up the more reliable engine in the end, and it will be easier to work on. However, the engine isn't the only component of a vehicle, and it isn't even the one that is most prone to failure. By the time you're out of warranty, either of these trucks will be nearing their expected lifespans, as vehicles nowadays, in general, tend to be much less reliable and much more consumer-oriented than ever before, which is honestly just sad to think. But if it's already like that, why not just get the better vehicle of the bunch?